podcast 15, I spoke with Ron Winnick. He's an artist who is also the father of a close friend of mine named Spencer Winnick. In this podcast, we spoke about his artistic journey through life, as well as his perspective on art and entertainment in general. As always, I hope you can enjoy whatever you listen to of this talk.
I'm just trying to tell a story and entertain with my artwork. Um, I drew over 400 cartoons of these art cards for the newscasts in the years that I was at the TV station. So there was usually a nightly thing. I would get a story. I had 2 hours to read the story and come up with an idea for a drawing, draw the thing, cut it out, mount it onto a card so it could be used in the newscast. This was along with the other graphics I was doing on a computer. But the cartoons, which really got me into being able to work pretty fast and look at a story or get an idea and visualize it and put it down. I still use that trying to come up with drawings, that I put out on my Instagram page.
Okay.
Some
What
I was gonna
about
say, and some of those cartoons are on my Instagram page. Some of those that I did for the TV station.
I see.
Anyway,
Okay. So if people want to check out your art, they can go to your Instagram page and check
yeah,
out your art there. Okay.
right,
Is there any other
right.
places that people can check out your art?
That's pretty much where I've
So that's
been
the main
posting my
place.
stuff. Facebook too. It goes on Instagram and then it goes on Facebook also.
Okay.
Um,
And
but I'm
you,
taking, I have now like almost 200 pieces that I've done since I semi-retired. Now that's what I do full time is I draw, and I, with the plan to take this stuff and get it into some shops, get it into galleries if I can, put it on clothing, that kind of stuff. There's some of my designs are t-shirt designs too. They're not just, they're I do cartoons, but then I also do like designs for t-shirt type of stuff.
okay. And
Uh,
is there a place online that people can go to buy that stuff, or is it all in a physical shop?
it's not now. I just
Mm.
have the art here and I just put it on. I haven't done anything to market it yet. I'm just putting it on Instagram as I draw these things up.
Awesome.
And but the plan is I got to do something with it. I've got all these pieces now, and yeah, there's plenty of stuff that I could do with it. And there's so many shops around Santa Cruz where I'm sure that I could hang stuff, in a restaurant or something like that. And it's definitely different from what you usually see in these places. It's not pictures of paintings of mountains and flowers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's cartoons.
So would you prefer to have some kind of like online shop on Etsy and sell your stuff on Etsy, or would you rather go like door to door, knocking on different like physical shop doors and talking to the owners and
Oh,
saying, "Do you want to sell these products here?" kind of thing, or is it?
um, I had no. I think the main place is going to be online. I'll set something up maybe through Instagram or put the word out there that this stuff is available if somebody wants it like that. Um, but I also want to get the way you can market yourself is getting it into shops and things so that people see your art that aren't really looking for it. If I can get it into a popular restaurant that hangs art, or dispensaries, they do it, and coffee shops and that kind of thing. I get it into a popular place. I think it'll definitely,
Yeah,
get
you can
get the
start
ball
selling.
rolling. Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like a good plan. Okay,
It's
so
pretty different from what like I say, my stuff is, I think, pretty uh, unique. in its the way I do stuff. It's I guess how my crazy mind works.
Yeah. You do have a crazy and creative mind, and your art definitely depicts that and shows that.
Thank
And
you. Yeah,
it's interesting. You're a creative and unique character.
thank you.
Your art clearly shows that. You in your art on Instagram, you've made a couple pieces of Frank Zappa. Is
Yeah.
Frank Zappa kind of similar to George Carlin in the sense of like his getting people to think it with his art and
Oh
trying
yeah.
to can you speak on him at all and maybe how
Oh, of
what are your
course.
thoughts on him?
Of course. Zappa is just the guy was brilliant. He I mean, he self-taught. He was a drummer in high school, and he taught himself how to play guitar. And he's listed as like one of the top guitar players. You know, when you look on like Rolling Stone list the top 100 guitarists of all time, he's in there because the guy was amazing. But he wrote symphonies. You know, he did regular rock music, but he also did. It was almost comedy, rock comedy. I saw him several times, um, and he's just brilliant. He wrote symphonies. Um,
Would
you
you
know,
consider
full.
would you consider his work to be avant-garde in some sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. He was very ahead of his time, and as a result, his his albums weren't big sellers. You know, he wasn't what you would call, a mega star
Yeah.
in the in that. But the guy was brilliant. He went up before Congress, or when they wanted to put labels on records, warnings for explicit content. He was really against all that. They felt like it was taking away some an artist's freedom. And he put on a suit and he went to Washington and spoke before uh, the group that was Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, was spearheading this whole thing. We got to protect the kids, from subversive and dirty language on records and stuff. And we got to warn the parents and all that. And he went up, was very articulate. He went and in a suit and spoke before I don't know if it was Senate or Congress or whatever, and to address that. And the guy was just so articulate,
Yeah.
and
Definitely
you
very
and you would
intelligent.
see and you would see that in his shows, and I was caught. I saw him a number of times through the years, and
So
yeah,
after
just
you walked away from one of his shows, what was your headspace like? What were you inspired? Were you thinking? Were you like energized? What was that like after a show?
yeah, you would
Well,
be energized. You would have been entertained, of
yeah.
course. Yeah, and he would talk about certain things, and it would open up your eyes to whatever subjects he was talking about. Um, yeah, it's just you realized I would realize just what a master and an artist this guy was, and then try to turn other people onto him. More people. I've said this guy's doing something that more people need to be aware of. There's a movie out that just came out a few years ago called Zappa, and it's about him.
Yeah,
And
I may have watched it. I've watched one or two documentaries on him and he's quite a brilliant and inspiring man. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Okay,
and yeah,
here's a little segue away from Zappa.
okay,
Let's say that there's some artists or an artist listening to this podcast right now and they feel like they've hit a ceiling with their work. They feel
okay.
stuck. They're feeling like they're not really making much progress. Maybe they're looking at
You
other
mean as
artists
creatively
yeah, creatively. And maybe
in
they're
their
looking at
style?
yeah, others artist artwork and they feel like inferior and they feel like they're unable to really get where they want to get. What would you say to this kind of struggling artist to
I would
encourage
say
them?
say be yourself, be proud of yourself. Don't I don't try to be best artist. I do what I do best, is what I do. I'm happy with what I do. And I say to that person too, be happy with what you do. If you do it every day, you'll get better at it. Um, it's like an exercise. You're exercising. You get stronger at something the more you do it. Um, I'd say stick with it. If you're getting enjoy it, don't make it a job. I shied away from making art, making a living from art, because it was something I enjoyed so much, and I was afraid that if I did it as a living, that it would take the enjoyment out of it. But I
Yeah,
found that I could do that. I could do both,
you could do
and
both.
people accepted it for what I do. I mean, I know what I do, and I know what I can do, and I know my limits. Um, and if somebody wants that, fine. If they don't, well, you know,
That's
find
their
somebody
loss.
who, yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's, I want to do what a person wants me to do, or recognizes my strength and where my humor is, and they understand that, so they're coming to me knowing what I do. um so I'm comfortable, or really enjoying what I'm doing now. Really enjoy it.
That's awesome. It's important to have joy in our lives. It's very
Of
important.
course.
So let's talk a little bit about your approach to making art. What's
Okay.
your mindset, or what's your process? How do you get your inspiration for your work? Do you write notes? Are you making sketches first? Are
Yes.
you doodling? And also, I feel like there's a lot of details to your art. Maybe you can speak on why there's so many details, or maybe not. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, sure, sure. As far as like with my art, how I get ideas, well, I'll read the news. I'll try to see what's going on around me, and I can look at something, I can read a news story and go off in different tangents based on what I've read or seen. Um, so I'll start scribbling down ideas. When I hear something, I the way I think is a picture. I get a picture in my head. I'll hear something, and I visualize something. So a lot of my ideas come from like reading the news or seeing what's going on every day, um, observing, and I get stuck at times for ideas, and then all of a sudden 3 or 4 ideas will come in, you know, and I'll jot them down. I'll either write down the idea or I'll sketch it out. But my process to a piece is I will take a piece of scratch paper and scratch an idea out. Okay. Then I'll go to my actual art paper where I'm going to actually do the piece of art. Once I've sketched something out and kind of uh, getting my ideas and what I picture in my head down on paper. Um, but the thing, what you say, all the details and things like that, when I'm working on a piece, um, it's not the fine. I get an idea, but it's not a final idea. As I'm drawing, I'm getting ideas as I'm drawing. So I'm working them into the piece. And that's where all the little details and things I feel come in to, a lot of people will say, God, you have so many things going on in your picture. You really got to study it. And I kind of like that, doing that. But those are all like ideas that come to me while I'm working on the piece. So I get a basic idea and then build upon that while I'm drawing it. And if I
I
could
see.
fit it into it, I'm
So
doing that.
So the details kind of act in a similar way and fashion as kind of the provoking people to think and to go beyond just
Correct.
what they're looking at, but to actually use their brains and to
Well, to look
stimulate,
at the P,
provoke thought.
yeah, yeah. They're looking at they see the basic cartoon,
Yeah.
but then they start looking. at it and picking out these other little things that I've put in the picture, and I like that they discover that they have looked deeper into the picture than what they see at first shot.
Awesome. Okay, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
And then maybe I can summarize some of the key points and you can confirm if my understandings are correct or not.
Of
But
course. Of
but
course.
the last question is, um, the coming years, like in the future, is there any particular trajectory or direction that you want to take your art, or are you kind of content with things naturally unfolding as they do? Um,
Yeah. I'm content with the way they're naturally evolving. I mean, I'm 66. I'm
yeah,
going to be 67 in April. Which it isn't a number, it's a number to me. People see my artwork. I think they think there's somebody much younger doing it than, thinking there's a 66-year-old drawing this crazy stuff. Um, uh, and I'm happy with it. I mean, this is something I wanted to do. I said, when I don't have to really work anymore, um, I just want to do my own thing, just draw. And I've been so happy doing what I'm doing, just trying to do and work it, do a joke picture form, cartoon, which was kind of like with Mad Magazine. That's probably was my big influence was Mad. And, I've always loved their art and anything that's kind of not the norm. I collect artwork. I've got original art from Mad Magazine. I collect animation cells, but it's, the real crazy cartoons. I have a lot of Ren and Stimpy artwork, um, which, Ren and Stimpy is a pretty off the wall cartoon.
totally.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of stuff I like. Um, and so I get inspiration from stuff like that.
Yeah.
The
And you've inspired both of your sons to get into comedy because you have like visual comedy and your sons are doing kind of more spoken comedy, but also
yeah,
Spencer's
yeah.
doing
And I've
visual
done
comedy.
stand up too,
Oh, really? Okay,
like them.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I write material. Um, Along with my artwork, I have a list of ideas for stand up too on my phone. I keep notes. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, having some crazy idea, and I'll enter it into the phone or I'll jot it down on paper. And
So do you feel like comedy is a really good vehicle for getting people to think more deeply
oh
about
yeah,
things
oh
and
yeah,
just yeah,
yeah,
okay.
definitely. I mean, Spencer and I will go. I mean, I wish Morgan lived closer, but Spencer and I will go down to L.A. into Hollywood and go to the Comedy Store, um, and spend a lot of time there because it's where all the really good working comics are doing. They go there to work out their new material. So you
Yeah.
go there and you'll see 12 headliners in an evening working on their material and stuff, and um, hanging around those guys. They're easy to talk to, and Spencer's very much into that kind of thing. He went to this comedy like 3-day weekend. It was
Hmm.
called Skank Fest, and he hung out with all these different comics and got to know them. And
That's
so I know
awesome.
Spencer really wants to do that.
Yeah.
He really wants to, I think, do stand up.
Yeah.
So
I think he has the potential for sure to do that. It's just a matter of the right opportunities and doors and just continuing to work on it and to develop the
yeah,
ability. Yeah. And
right, right,
just hone the craft, get better. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
If you want to check out any of Ron's wild, crazy, and humorous art, please go to the description box below this video and you can find a link to his Instagram account there. Thank you for checking out the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it.